Yeah, I get right to the racks. Then I make that shit back. Run up on me, get shot in the back.
It's Jay taking the building for you, Scott Man. Back in the Darius about we got CALI'S Deadliest rap beef. How the this caused 23 murders in 3 years and exterminated an entire hood. Swamp Stories, bro. He's the GOAT. I'm not gonna lie. Swamp Stories is one of the ones. Like, he has the best docs, I would say.
Shout out to Swampy Swamp.
It's Jerry TV. Follow me at JTV Instagram. Follow me at
Pops Reacts.
Join the
Discord below. And if you don't know,
now you know, brother.
we got jvtv.com. Go check out our gear. And we also got JVTV on Twitch.
Yeah, check that out. We're gonna start streaming consistently, especially when we go to Cali. We might do some IRL streams.
Yeah,
maybe.
Twitch. So it's JVTV with a V.
Yes, sir.
JVTV.
All right, we should have right too, right?
Yeah, no more talk.
What's your take on the whole Swamp Stories?
He like the police or something because he know too much. He know too much like detail.
So
he got some law enforcement info for sure.
No, he's not.
Officer Swamp in the building, and for this one, we dive into the craziest rap beef on the West.
That's how you do it. You double down. When someone calls you a cop, you be like, woo woo, Officer Swamp in the building. Because when you double down on things, bro, I noticed that like people can't see anything after that.
Yeah, when you double down, but it's also, you don't see who is Swamp Story.
Exactly. So he doesn't have to.
He's not in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Info for sure.
Officer Swamp in the building, and for this one, we dive into the craziest rap beef on the West Coast. Now, you might be thinking, good old Oakland up to no good again, huh? But no, it's actually not Oakland. At least not directly. So is it LA? No, it's not Squabble City. In fact, I don't even think a single squabble has taken place in this entire beef. So San Bernardino? No, not Poopville. Could it be Stockton? No, not Poopville number 2.
Oh my god.
So where in the could California's worst beef take place? Well, of all places, it's centered in the second safest city in the entire West Coast. Yes, the worst beef on the West Coast takes place in a city where violence is as rare as EBK J-Bo's freedom. And if you don't believe me, just trust me, because you'll see how one bad incident caused childhood friends to break apart and knock each other off relentlessly ever since. This video was absolutely nuts, but before we get into it, let me run the intro.
He changed his intro, right?
Subscribe to JVTV.
Subscribe to JTV. Subscribe to JTV. Subscribe to Subscribe.
Welcome to San Francisco, truly one of the most misunderstood cities in America. If you live in Middle America and watch Fox News, you probably think that
San Francisco is a war zone.
Really?
You walk out at night, you risk your life there. You get executed. San Francisco, you're executed the minute you walk out.
Yes.
Just go there and see for yourself.
Nah,
Walk
he's
around
gassing. He's gassing.
Mr. Wonderful is not saying wonderful things about San Francisco.
Bro, everyone I talk to in the streets from like Frisco and all, they say Oakland's the worst. I mean, obviously shit happens everywhere, but is he gassing it a little bit?
No, I heard Oakland is
the town.
Probably the toughest city.
Yeah. Well, they call it the town.
The town. Oh,
And then Frisco's the city, yeah.
Francisco. It is not America anymore.
this is totally laughable, because if you know anything about San Francisco, you know that it's not violent, like, at all. In fact, in 2024, the entire city of 850,000 people only had 35 homicides.
Wow.
For context, this would make it very safe even by European standards. Now, after hearing me say this, a bunch of San Franciscans are pissed, like,
hey bruh, I know some people who are really like that. Hell nah, bruh. My city's really wicked, bruh. You just don't know.
Now, to be fair, they're both right and wrong, because overall the city is definitely sweet. But there are a handful of serious beefs that have been going on for decades and decades that the world just doesn't know about. And the one in this video, in my opinion, is one of the worst of them all. But in order for it to make sense, we must do a little bit of history, so spare me a couple of seconds. As many of us know, the World War II shipyards brought a lot of black families from the Deep South. And basically when the war was over, instead of going back to Baton Rouge, a whole lot of them wanted to remain in the Bay.
Wow.
However, due to severe redlining, there were only a few places in the city where they could actually live. Firstly, the poorest people were relegated to the projects in Hunters Point, Sunnydale, and Potrero
Wow,
Hill.
so there wasn't that many black folks in the West in general. They're all from down south. That's crazy.
Yeah, when they started coming in, they got redline, and for those who don't know what redline is, you wouldn't be able to live in certain areas, not only because of your color, but they wouldn't even loan you money if you were of color, like, you know?
Yeah, that's
if you were
crazy.
black or brown, they wouldn't even, you had to live in a poor area. You were forced to.
Or Asian, right? Probably too.
Yep.
The middle class were able to purchase homes in the Bayview, Silver Terrace, and Ocean View. And for the higher class people with some money, well, they moved into the Fillmore. Rather quickly, the Fillmore became known as the Harlem of the West. Popular jazz clubs, fine restaurants, it was truly the place to be.
You could walk in the middle of Fillmore Street with $100 hanging out your pocket. Nobody would touch you because everybody was making money.
Everybody
They
getting
came
money.
with a tremendous amount of resources. My uncle, for example, was a carpenter. One was a mechanic. My uncle's brother was a barber. On Saturday mornings, the line up, getting their hair cut. And then on Sunday, after church, people came to visit.
So
to see
classy,
when you
right?
had
Classy.
home.
Yeah,
It was a
classy.
social place.
It was truly the place to be. But then, here comes the federal government.
Urban renewal. Then they served us papers that we had to get out.
And then to be told that now you need to relocate.
They forcefully tore down all the beautiful Victorians and businesses and replaced them with a whole bunch of projects.
The Fillmore, even with some brand new housing projects, was in danger of becoming what nobody had dared name it before. A ghetto.
All right,
ghetto.
But the ghetto is gonna happen. People are poor. There's a lot of poor people, so you got to move them in somewhere. So I don't like this narrative of like they're tearing shit down because they're trying to create gangs to beef or black people to beef.
No, I think
I think it's just poor people moving to these areas and they end up beefing.
they knock the houses down and build projects so they can get more people and make money. Everything's about money at the end of the day.
I don't think it's about race though. I think it's about more like if you're just poor.
Oh well, now in your time, but in that time it definitely was about race.
Right.
Yeah. Now things have changed. Things have changed. I mean, things are a little backwards right now with the current administration, but everything will fix itself.
It sadly did become, at least to a certain extent. All that was left was the people who had no other choice but to stay. Just like that, the once popular and poppin' area was now one of the worst parts of the Bay. Poverty, drug dealing, hustling, and sadly some beef too. As the neighborhood got worse and worse, the young generation joined together as one massive crew. And over the years, the Fillmore crew developed a beef with the entire Hunters Point. Two giant crews from completely opposite sides of the city. This was a recipe for disaster. The massive beef lasted for over a decade, with more murders than you could possibly count. It was truly a horrific situation until leaders from both sides decided to get together and squash it once and for all. Thankfully, all that was able to end, but then the next generation would start something possibly worse than the previous beef. They'd spark off the very first internal beef in the Fillmore, uptown versus downtown, divided by Fillmore Street to the east and to the west. The former massive neighborhood crew split into two and they began knocking each other off. And this is truly when the Fillmore neighborhood got out of control. Now, instead of having to drive all the way across the city to slide on someone, all you had to do was leave your house and walk down the street. And the fact that everyone involved grew up together and used to be in the same gang made it even worse, because now it was really personal. Guys from up the way would put their thumbs up, and the guys from down the way would put their thumbs down. And if you were caught in the wrong section, trust me, your life was at risk. So in the late 90s, bleeding into the early 2000s, the Fillmore was truly a killing zone, with former best friends knocking each other off.
What the fuck?
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us.
As you'll see, this set a horrible trend for the future generations, but more importantly for now, it caused the city to tear down all of the projects. First, they tore down the Hayes Valley projects and replaced it with this, then they tore down the Out of Control projects and turned it into this, and finally they tore down the Chopper City projects and turned them into this. And although a lot of the old residents were allowed to live in the new buildings, a lot of them had to move to other cities. How I know this? Well, because after the rebuild, the Fillmore went from having 5,000 public housing units down to just 1,500. And not to mention that between 1990 and 2005, the neighborhood went from being 75% black down to just 11%.
Yo!
Golly, San Francisco been doing these people wrong since the
Squeeze
start.
people
Hipsters
out.
and techies quickly took over the neighborhood, and if you lived there, you would have no idea that it used to be the trenches. So after all those turf wars against Hunters Point and other sections of the Fillmore, the city pretty much kicked you all out, and now it was all for nothing. Okay, so does that mean the story ends here? I mean, the neighborhood's gentrified, they tore down the projects, and pretty much everyone moved out to the East Bay.
No.
The answer is obviously no, because the beefs certainly continued. Just, they operate way differently, and they involve way less people.
So after all that damn yapping, let's get into it.
It's now the mid-2000s in the Fillmore, and instead of it being a giant uptown versus a giant downtown, every small section has its own identity, meaning that each individual project is its own thing, with no ties to anything else. So here are the new sections. First, you've got Eddie Rock, the yellow townhomes that span a couple blocks down Eddy and Laguna. Then just a couple blocks down Eddy Street you have Knockout, also known as KO, and for those who don't know, this is what Messy Marv used to rep. Then another 2 blocks down Eddy you have Chopper City, also known as the Chop, or sometimes by 223. These are the 3 sections that share Eddy Street, and let's just say that none of them got along. Well, next we have the Mac, the brown projects on McAllister Street, and these guys are pretty irrelevant, and they're not even in this video. Well, next we have Grove Street, also known as the Banneker's or 800. To outsiders, this has always been a pretty unknown section, but rappers like Yada and Semiato Cease are from there.
Yo,
just a couple blocks south.
guys, we learned to learn about Yada and his music. Yo,
A super popular guy that's currently in jail.
he coming home.
And he'll be coming home pretty soon, and it's going to be a wave when he come out. When Yada come out, it's going to be a wave.
Yeah. He's probably my top 3 rap. Yeah, it's for me. It's Briss, Yada, and Jock. My top 3 rappers from Northern California: Briss, Yada, and Jock in that order. EBK, Young Jock. That's a good list, right?
That's a good combo. That's a good combo.
How about you? You let me know. He's 67.
I'm 67. What I had for breakfast this morning?
Then you have Hayes Valley, also known as the Zone, and this is 2 separate projects in the middle of a very rich neighborhood. So these are the projects in the Fillmore that you need to know about, and they all exist within a couple blocks distance of each other. Although all of these sections, except for the Mac, have a long history of knocking shit down, none more have a worse reputation than Eddie Rock. This is because Eddie Rock always saw themselves as the bullies of the area, and they always wanted to kick off beefs. And in the mid-2000s, Eddie Rock were true haters of the only section in Fillmore that didn't have a project. This would be known as CDP, which stands for Central Divisadero Playas. And these guys originate in a section west of Divisadero Street, but their main block is Central Street. And if you're from San Francisco, you're hearing this, and you're like, what? This is a really nice neighborhood full of big-ass, multi-million-dollar houses. How is this the hood? Well, these are the houses the CDP members grew up in, and for that reason, the rest of the Fillmore saw them as silver spoon babies. But truly, CDP didn't care, as they weren't trying to be the toughest guys around, they just wanted to be the richest.
Yo, they said that New York and all that's the most gentrified. Bro, Frisco's the most gentrified city ever.
Well, yeah, no, it's a lot of money. I think the average home is like 1.4 million.
The way they just tore down all those projects and just build $1 million homes is crazy. I never seen that before.
Yeah.
How about in Harlem though? In Harlem,
well, I think Harlem right now is gentrified like crazy. Yeah. It's not. It's the opposite. The same thing is going on in every city, but people got to move in because there's a big population, and they when the yuppies come in, they raise the prices up. You know.
Yeah.
So unfortunate.
They were, because they ran up one of the biggest drug operations that California has ever seen. They had the money, the cars, the chains, and most importantly, the women. Well, unfortunately, being the guys having shit in the Fillmore definitely brought some haters, specifically Eddie Rock. So allegedly, Eddie Rock kicked off a beef for no reason and eliminated 4 of their members. Pow, 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 pow. Just like that, the beef was kicked off. Well, Eddie definitely underestimated CDP, as they'd have to go from hustlers to certified demons. CDP would literally go from silver spoon babies to certified hitmen, and they'd knock down a bunch of Eddie Rock members.
Oh, wow.
This situation could honestly be its own movie, but you guys don't have all day. But what you need to know is that Eddie Rock pretty much went to war with every single section in the Fillmore, making them the black sheep of the family. Starting in the mid-2000s, they had bloody wars with CDP, The Chop, KO, Grove Street, and Hayes. This was truly a wild era in San Francisco as a whole, and if you don't believe me, let me prove it to you. In the year 2007, San Francisco had 85 black homicide victims. Mind you, the city only had 45,000 black residents. And if this doesn't stand out to you, let me compare it to Los Angeles, the land of the Bloods and Crips. That same year in 2007, Los Angeles had 94 black homicide victims, but that's despite having 400,000 black residents. I say that to say that being a black resident in San Francisco was 10 times more deadly than being one in Los Angeles.
What?
I'm not saying this to glorify anything. I just want you to understand how serious these beefs were.
Wait,
after all this,
so is Northern California worse than Southern California back then? That's my question to you guys. And which is worse now?
Well, according to Swamp, that's what he's reporting. I mean, if you work the numbers out, yeah,
that's crazy.
It is.
Wow.
Horrific bloodshed, District Attorney Kamala Harris had to put
She was pretty back
In
then.
fact, she was so upset with these hoods that she actually
Have
sued
you
them,
visited the
particularly
border?
Eddie Rock and the Chop. But even more than this,
Not one
police
border.
began seriously investigating every section of the Fillmore. After Kamala Harris made it illegal for all of them to post up in front of the projects, all police had to do was drive down the blocks, see them, search them, and take them to jail.
Wow.
Locked away went 12 CDP members, 15 Eddie Rock members, 10 Chop members, a bunch of KO members, and the list goes on. Pretty much by 2012, all of the streets in the Fillmore were shut down. Thankfully, this made the neighborhood very peaceful, tranquility that it deeply needed.
Did like a Rico
But on the flip side, it also had some downsides. What it did was leave a lot of children fatherless, a whole lot of Fillmore fatherless babies.
What the fuck?
This meant that the community needed to step up. The guys who were left out of the indictments needed to change their lives around and be there for the younger generation.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, one person stepped up more than any other, and this would be a man by the name of Lamar Williams, also known as Chi. Chi decided to dedicate his life to steering the youth away from jumping into the streets.
Oh, wow.
This meant constantly checking in with all of the youth and definitely being a shoulder they can always lean on. In addition, he also became a track and football coach at Mission High School, trying to keep kids in sports and off the streets. Not to mention stepping up for his 2 nephews whose parents were swept up in the CDP indictment. These would be Stacy and Laprel Gilton, who tried to play sports what were garbage and instead took a different path. Laprel Gilton,
throwing shots,
who tried to play sports what were garbage and instead took a different path.
What the fuck?
They decide to become rappers under the name of Lil Yee and Lil Peep, and somehow they instantly both blow up. This occurred.
Wait, they're brothers or they're like family? I didn't know this. What the fuck? I didn't know that Lil P and Lil Yee were cool. Wow, we
know. That's how we love California hip hop, because it's all new to us. We're like gathering, understanding it, appreciating, rewinding it.
They decide to become rappers under the name of Lil Yee and Lil Peep, and somehow they
check out our
instantly both
reactions.
blow up. This occurs between 2015 and 2016, and this is the exact time where the young generation of Fillmore is starting to come outside. But thankfully this is a quiet period, and on top of this, they're not really representing a section. So they take advantage and create a huge buzz in the Bay. Kid you not, every Filipino girl in Daly City and Vietnamese girl in San Jose was like, "Oh my god, I love Lil Peep." So for the next couple of years, Lil Peep and Lil Yee run the Fillmore music scene. And although they're not really repping a specific project, they're definitely hanging with members of the Chop, Grove, and Hayes. Why I mention this? Well, because this is the time when a new generation of beef starts to brew. And it all begins when a new rapper hits the scene. This new rapper is a shit disturber, and he's bringing up a lot of old beef.
Shit disturber. Wow. Never heard anyone
Let
say
me
that.
introduce you to a teenager named Toriano Carpenter, commonly known as Dex Krueger. Dex is a short little dude raised on Eddie Rock, who was actually a pretty decent basketball player. But anyone who was around him in real life knows that he was a wild dude, even at the age of like 12. Bipping, stealing pizzas from delivery drivers, literally doing anything. But he was also an extremely talented rapper, and the world would find out after he dropped his very first song. Just like his personality, he'd follow it up with wild and disrespectful songs, dissing his ops and heating up old beefs. Dex did not care about Fillmore unity, and he'd even say this in his interview.
Dex from Eddie, don't introduce me as a Fillmore nigga. Some people say this, but some people don't. Like, I don't feel we part of Fillmore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have problems with the whole Fillmore at one point. So why would I claim something if that's them? How is we part of y'all and we beefing with everybody? So we not part of them. We our own thing. That's what I say. But some people might say from Fillmore. I just know me. I'm from Eddie.
Dex basically furthers Eddie Rock from the rest of the Fillmore, kind of what the old generation had done. But what he also does is turn up his projects, as people from all over the Bay began coming to Eddie Rock to hang out, shoot dice, and just have fun. So during this era, if you roll down Eddie Rock, you'd see people from Sunnydale, East Oakland, North Richmond, pretty much everywhere in the Bay. People from everywhere except from other sections of the Fillmore, and that's exactly how Dex wanted it. He's cocky and confident, but not only does he talk it, but he also walks it out in the streets. Remember that everyone in the Fillmore hates Eddie Rock, and Eddie Rock hates everyone as well. Now the next generation kicks it off, and that takes us to the fall of 2019. It's a regular Thursday night in the Chop, and a couple of members are outside posted up. And due to the fact that nothing is kicked off in the beef yet, both of them are lacking, cause why would they carry? But little do they know, a rival from the other side wants to spark it off. So as they're hanging in the parking lot, a white Nissan Altima is creeping up the street. This is when a short man in a white hoodie quickly hops out and runs into the project. While he's running, he begins letting off at the members posted up. Bam! He even chases them into the corner where one jumps on top of the other, and he begins letting off on both of them. After emptying his clip, he runs back to his car and neighbors call 911. Eddie Rock 100% thought they scored, but thankfully after being rushed to the hospital, both of them somehow survived. Specifically, one of them by the name of Javon Lee, also known as V's, he was hit over 5 times and doctors were able to bring him back.
Wow, good.
Either way, this was still a horrible incident, not just because of the shooting, but because it now kicked off the next generation of beef. The older generation tried their best to stop this from happening, but sadly the next generation was repeating the cycle. So now, after this bloodshed, everyone in the Fillmore was forced to take a side. You're either with Eddie Rock or you're with the Chop. Years and years of bloodshed ahead, and here's how everything breaks down. First on one side and by themselves you have Eddie Rock, and they're represented by Dex and a bunch of hustlers like Money P and Money Man and Kiki and so on and so forth. All in all, it's really not that many people, as I'd estimate between 15 and 20 members. Then on the other side, of course, you have the Chop, and they're represented by rappers GTA Floss and Chop Low. This section, in all honesty, probably only had 10 members total. But on their side is the Zone, and these guys have a lot more members, and a lot more rappers too. Rappers such as Paper Chase Demise, Buddy Bands, Break It Off, Foes, and the list goes on. And of course with them you have Grove Street, which they don't really have many members or rappers.
Yeah, we covered them a little bit.
We have, but we gotta do a deep dive. We gotta do a deep dive.
Like Dex Krueger and them.
But they definitely are with the business. Finally, you have Lil Yee and Lil Pete, and of course, they side with the latter side. So now that again you understand that all these guys together are trying to eliminate Eddie Rock.
Oh, wow.
And as you'll see, most of the beef takes place outside of San Francisco, boosting the murder rates in all different cities in the Bay. This is because most of the hood people in San Francisco moved to other cities like a lot of years ago, but still, they kept their beefs.
Oh shit.
November 6, 2019. It's a regular Wednesday evening in East Oakland, and Dex's big homie Dario is chilling at a friend's house. Dario goes by the nickname of Money Man, and that's because he's one of the first people in San Francisco to invent the bip. Yes, before the whole Bay Area was bipping cars, Dario was one of the, well, allegedly one of the first people doing it. Well, due to the new tensions in his hood, Money Man is a target, and little does he know some ops are outside waiting for him. 7:05 p.m. Money Man walks out to his car on 66th Avenue, and that's when a man hops out of a Dodge Charger. Sadly, the man runs him down. This was a major loss for Eddie Rock, as Moneyman was a very important member of the community. You can actually see Dex showing love to him in many of his future music videos. But even Oakland rappers like Baby J would mention him in songs.
Rip Moneyman, my Eddie niggas told me about the bit.
Yeah, this was a major loss, but even after this, the rivals weren't done yet. Actually, before we get to that, we must focus back on two members from the Chop. One of them is a 21-year-old by the name of Javon Lee, but is commonly known as V's. And allegedly, this was the main victim of the shooting in the Chop, and he's the guy who allegedly survived the 9 shots. After surviving the scary incident, V's didn't exactly change around his life. Well, January 2nd, 2020. It's the day after New Year's, and a man named Sho Zhang is celebrating his birthday by getting work done at a local cafe. It sounds kinda crazy, but Zhang is a very talented research engineer from China. Anyways, as he's getting his work done, 2 men run inside the Starbucks. V's and his friend named Byron Lee, and instantly they snatch the laptop and run outside. What? This is when Zhang makes the mistake of chasing them out the store and yelling. Sadly, this is when he loses his life.
Over a laptop? Come on, guys. A laptop? No way. A laptop? No way. Like
maybe that laptop has some kind of information on it.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, it's got
right, because to run in Starbucks and take a laptop.
This was the tragedy of all tragedies, and the community got together to mourn.
Heartbreaking vigil today. Mourners gathered to remember the Oakland man who was killed on New Year's Eve while trying to stop thieves from stealing his laptop. KPIX5's Kit Doe on how friends, family, and the community honored his memory.
Hundreds of people came out today to remember Shore as a brilliant scientist and a caring friend.
That's great.
By all accounts, Shore Zhang was one of the Bay Area's best and brightest. Colleagues say he was an outstanding researcher with PhDs in philosophy and physics. Serban Samu hired him to work at Aspera in Emeryville and sat next to him every day.
I never got to tell you how much I respect the way you built your life and your career and your friends.
Michelle Munson comforted Shore's family, who just flew in from China, and said her dear friend made important contributions in numerical physics and machine learning.
He was a person who was kind and respected by everyone who knew him and worked with him, and he made a habit of being honorable in every part of his life.
On New Year's Eve, Shore was working on his computer at this Starbucks in Montclair when police say Byron Reed and Javon Lee, both convicted felons, stole his laptop.
Just like that, the 2 men face up to 10 years in prison. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but in Oakland, that's actually a lot. However, Byron's sister pleads that he's innocent and he really had nothing to do with it.
He did not have anything to do with none of this stuff that went on.
What's wrong with that Beamer? Does he drive a Beamer?
Does he have a car? No, he does not. My brother doesn't even own a car. He doesn't even have a driver's license.
What kind of person would you like your brother to be?
My brother is a very limited kind of person. He is a very family-oriented person. He will never do nothing as serious as this. I mean, people make mistakes all the time, and this is one mistake my brother will not make.
Well, the incident swept up the 2 guys from the Chop, and now we focus right back to the beef. Sadly, a couple months later in March, an Eddie Rock member named Tay Thumps would lose his life as well. Things are getting serious for Eddie Rock, but really for the beef as a whole. But trust me, no incident would be bigger than the next one. And now this takes us way back. We head back to the year 2008 and we focus on a teenager named Damari Hampton. Damari grew up in Eddie Rock in a hard lineage of street dudes and sadly losing a lot of family and friends his entire childhood. However, despite these hardships, he happened to be an incredible athlete. Well, because of this, the man I mentioned earlier, Lamar Williams, Chi, well, he decided to take him under his wing. Not only in the Fillmore neighborhood, but he was also his football and track coach at Mission High School. Chi wanted nothing more than for Damari to live out his potential as an athlete and to stay out of the streets. Damari was able to do this successfully. As his senior year, he averaged 26 points a game and 21 points a game over his entire career. Not only this, but he was also a star wide receiver and cornerback on the football team and actually made All-City and All-State in both sports. However, due to his height of just 5'9", he didn't receive any Division I offers, so instead, decided to hit the streets.
Oh, hell no.
And sadly, just a year later, he received his first prison sentence. A sad reality of yet another star athlete turned into a criminal. But Damari was able to do his time and get back home, and that fast forwards us to November 18th, 2020. Damari and his young homie Kyotis decide that today we're gonna hit a lick. So to do this, Damari allegedly hits up his old football coach and mentor. Not for advice or anything, but instead with plans of setting him up and robbing him.
What?
11 p.m. Damari and Kyotis pull up to Chi's apartment.
Like I said, we don't know if this is actually true, like accurate, so we gotta...
Yeah, I'm just going along with what he's saying.
Yeah, but that's crazy though.
It's crazy, yeah.
If he's the advocate, was it like a activist really? Like, you know?
Yeah, he's part of the community. He makes a community move and shake, and every community has that. There's a lot of good people in the hood, man.
Yeah.
In Hunters Point. They quickly walk up to his door, knock hard, and Chi opens up. Boom, that's when he's met with 2 masked men with firearms pointed directly at him. At this point, Chi has no other choice but to defend himself as he comes up off the hip and begins firing. Sadly, this is when they fire back as well.
Coach had the heat.
Tragically, both Damari and his former football coach would both lose their lives. This was a true tragedy for the whole Fillmore, but really for the city of San Francisco as well.
10 family and friends paying tribute to a high school coach and community leader in San Francisco who was shot and killed a week ago tonight. KTVU's Amber Lee is here now. She's in the city. And Amber, people who knew him say he made a big impact on the community.
Frank, there is a memorial honoring the sports coach here along Fillmore Street. His family says the native San Franciscan grew up in this neighborhood and he gave back.
Chi-Chi was the heartbeat of Fillmore.
Family and friends gathered at a memorial for Lamar Chi-Chi Ali Williams in the Fillmore neighborhood. They describe him as a community leader who grew up on these streets.
You just got that smile, you know what I'm saying? Never see that again. It hurts.
The 38-year-old is being remembered for his work with young people and the community. But last Wednesday night, shortly before 9, Williams and another man were shot and killed at Williams' home in the Hunters Point neighborhood. Motive unknown and no arrest.
This is really hard for the family. He was a wonderful person, one of the best that you can meet. He was giving, he was kind, he was loving.
I lived my life complete and better, and because of him. I learned how to be a better person because of him.
He's gonna put you on the right path. And that's what he did for this whole community, no matter what, no matter who it was or what age you were or anything.
This tragedy hit no one harder than his nephews Lil Yee and Lil Pete, who lost their beloved uncle. This one cut deep and definitely ignited a fire.
Man, fuck Eddie Rock.
The whole other side was pissed over this one, and trust me, revenge was promised. Just 9 days later, on November 25th, Eddie Rock's Dedrick Tucker, also known as Dada Winnin, would lose his life in Oakland. Things are getting serious in the beef, but forget the beef. When you're a hood dude and you're dealing with other hood dudes, life is just dangerous in general. Why I say that? Well, this next story will blow your mind, and that takes us to March 17th, 2021. It's a regular Wednesday afternoon in the life of a young man from the Chop by the name of Tion Bratcher, also known as 3-3. Tion is known by everyone as a cool dude, you know, the player type of guy. And on this afternoon, he's set to meet up with a girl that he just met on Instagram. She's from Vallejo, and I can't say her real name, so let's call her Jalea. Well, Jalea tells Tion to come pick her up from Oakland and chill and, you know. So Tion is like, cool, I'm on my way. So he grabs his glizzy and hops in his Nissan Altima, heads across the bridge. At 4 p.m., he pulls up on Jalea, she hops in the car, and he tells her that he wants to get out of Oakland. She says why, and he responds, I got people hating on me. I cannot sit in no car in Oakland. So Tion peels off to the nearby suburb of Castro Valley, where he rolls up and they chill in the car. As they're sitting there talking, somebody is blowing up Jalea's phone nonstop. So she puts it on D&D, and I guess Tion doesn't think anything of it. But here's what's really going on. Jalea actually has a boyfriend, a man from Vallejo by the name of Louis Arby, and she told him that she was out of town in Vegas. However, she forgot that she has her location shared with him, and he clearly sees that she's still in the Bay. Why is my girlfriend in Castro Valley, and why is she not picking up the phone? Needless to say, Louis Arby is pissed. Instantly, he takes all of her belongings out of his house and puts them in a trash bag. He then grabs his .40 caliber, grabs her bag of stuff, and hops in his car. He heads off to her location, speeding through with nothing but anger and revenge on his mind. At 5 p.m., he arrives in Castro Valley and pulls right behind Tion's car. He then hops out with his glizzy and walks right up to the car.
What the fuck?
That's where he sees Tion and his girlfriend in the backseat doing you-know-what. Instantly, he starts yanking on the door with his glizzy pointed at the window. That's when Tion looks up, sees him, and grabs Jalea and pulls her down. He then grabs his glizzy from under the seat, but sadly, this is when Louis Arby starts letting loose.
Over a chick? No.
Jalea opens the door for her boyfriend.
Sucks, man. He should have just took it to the chin and moved on with his life. But now he's about to go to prison over a female, bro.
He was enraged. He saw red. He was enraged, man.
Damn, he was chicken tender.
Friend as he pulls her out to make sure that she's okay. And other than a missing finger, somehow she's completely fine. So this is when Arby takes Tion's chain, his wallet, and his glizzy. And then he and Jalea hop in the car and speed away.
And then he takes his girl with him?
They fly down 580 headed for Oakland. Boom, that's when a parked CHP notices them going over 100 miles an hour and he tries to pursue. He then sees them pull off into Oakland in the distance and he calls Oakland police for backup. But unfortunately, Oakland police do not respond or dispatch any officers. So Louis, Arby, and Jalea get away and they head off to the Berkeley Hills. Louis then parks the car in front of somebody's house and he and Jalea begin walking down the street. Whew, we got away. Or at least that's what they think. But little do they know, one of the neighbors saw them, with stains all over their body and decided to call 911. So quickly, Berkeley police arrive and they spot them walking down the hill.
Put your hands up.
The two stop, they look back, and they sprint away. And because of a no-chase policy, they're able to get away and make their way back to Vallejo.
What? What kind of... Yo, Cali gotta switch their laws up, bro.
That's Oakland? No chase.
Berkeley? Like, what's up, yo? What is this?
Because of a no-chase policy, they're able to get away and make their way back to Vallejo. Long story short, the couple would go on the run for 3 months until Vallejo police would finally execute a warrant on Arby's grandma's house. The canines start barking at one of the walls in the closet, so police tear down the wall, and that's when they find exactly what they're looking for. Not only did they find Arby's weapon that he used, but they also find the weapon of Tion Bratcher. So, really a genius here, huh? Louis Arby is now looking at life in prison. Either way, this was an insane and truly tragic story. Tion didn't deserve this in a million years. I mean, can you imagine meeting a girl on Instagram, meeting up with her, having your way, and then out of nowhere, her boyfriend shows up and kills you?
Yeah.
That's like the worst way to go out. And unfortunately, even though they had nothing to do with this, Eddie Rock would begin clowning. Specifically, Dex would troll him, and this left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, especially one of Tion's closest childhood friends, the rapper from the zone named Foes. Instantly, he'd send a warning.
Speak on 3, I'm through the jets, I'm trying to paint his ass.
First, we offer overnight boarding. Your pet will stay overnight in your sitter's home and not only be treated like part of the family.
Yeah, this is serious, and the war continues. You clown someone's dead homie that you had nothing to do with? Yeah, some people are gonna take that to the streets. September 15th, 2021. It's a late Wednesday night in North Vallejo, and an Eddie Rock member named Stephen Mitchell, also known as ST, is at his girlfriend's apartment. That's when at 10:40 p.m. he receives a text message on his phone and walks outside. As he steps outside, he looks around and doesn't see what he's looking for, and that's when a man with a mask walks right up to him. And sadly, before he can even react, the man lets off. But now let's fast forward just 2 days. September 17th, 2021. If you're from San Francisco, you know that bike life is a major thing for hood dudes, especially for a man from Grove Street named Baxter Bradley, who's commonly known as Haiti. In fact, his family as a whole is known for it, and tragically, he lost his cousin riding his bike like 10 years prior.
Wow.
Well, on this Friday night, Haiti is riding around his hood doing wheelies and having fun. Unfortunately, this is the exact time where a rival is spinning around the Fillmore looking for an op to catch. The rival recognizes Haiti and somehow targets him and knocks him down while he's riding his bike. This was a major loss for the whole 468 side, but none more than for Lil Yee. He's pretty much mentioned him in every song since his passing, and on top of this, they even had a funeral where they all wore Haitian flags to commemorate him. This one cut deep, but sadly, it wouldn't be the last. And that fast forwards us just 1 week, September 24th, 2021. Another Friday afternoon in the city, and an up-and-coming rapper from the Fillmore is out and about. This would be Break It Off from the Zone, and if you've never heard his music, absolute smoke. I'm telling you, after this video, go listen to anything that Break It Off, Buddy Bands, Foes, Paper Chasing Me's, and all of them have dropped. Everything goes hard. Well, anyways, it's noon in the Mission District, and Break It Off and Buddy Bands are walking down the street. As they make their way up 17th Street, a car pulls right alongside them. This is when a man hops out of the passenger seat and runs them down. Thankfully, Buddy Bands is able to run away, but sadly, Break It Off loses his life.
Oh, shit. Wow.
This was a huge loss for the zone, and really sad
Now I
because
realize
of
the
how
Swamp Story is going over 23 murders that happened in 3 years. I think he's going over all 23.
Really? Yeah, because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of... And how does he know this stuff?
What?
I know some of it is public record.
A lot of these dudes are rappers that you gotta remember too.
Rather detailed.
Yeah.
This is rather detailed.
talented Break It Off was. This dude could really rap his ass off. Well, after losing Haiti and Break It Off back to back, the whole 468 side is ready to make a statement. And that fast forwards us exactly a month, November 6, 2021. Two Eddie Rock members named Kiki and Johnny are at a friend's house on 82nd Avenue in Deep East Oakland. This particular block on 82nd is a known hangout spot for Eddie Rock members, at least known to police. But also the rival Chop members have discovered the hangout as well, and for days they've been spinning the block. Well, for Kiki's friend, whose house it is, he's been noticing an infinity spinning the block a lot of times over and over and over, and he's definitely concerned. He's not necessarily concerned for himself, but he's concerned for the Eddie Rock members like Kiki who are always around the block. So he tells Kiki and Johnny about the suspicious infinity, and together they look at the cameras waiting for the next time it comes around. Boom, at 7 p.m, that's when they spot it coming down the block. So instantly they strap up and walk up the street towards the car. Not necessarily to do anything, but just to make sure that nothing suspicious is going on. This is when the infinity backs up into a driveway and turns around and drives the other way. What the hell is going on? Something isn't right. So this is when Kiki tells Johnny, hey bruh, something ain't right, let's get the hell out of here. So instantly they walk inside the house, grab their stuff, hop in the car, and head back to San Francisco. But little do they know, the same infinity is following them at a distance.
Oh, man.
This would be a car full of Chop members, including the rapper Chop Low. They follow them all the way through East Oakland and onto the highway headed towards the bridge. As Kiki approaches the bridge toll, traffic starts to pile up, and this is when the Chop members begin to creep up on them. According to police, this is when Chop Low rolls down his window, ups an ARP, and begins blowing at the car. Bam! This is when Kiki maneuvers and peels off, and Johnny starts blowing back from outside his window. Thankfully, none of the members would hit each other at all. But sadly, an innocent bystander would lose their life.
Developing right now, Bay Area leaders are calling for more security along local highways and interstates after a toddler, boy, he was shot and killed over the weekend on Interstate 880 while in his car seat in his parents' car.
You can see a
Come
photo
on,
of him in a Superman costume.
man. This is pissing me off now, I'm not gonna lie.
That's disappointing, man.
Come on!
A little baby.
Like, this is actually getting me tight, like, generally. Like, I'm not even doing this for the camera.
And I was thinking, like, they drove up to the traffic
Come on, man.
It's just a lot of people, a lot of witnesses.
How does the parents feel? Like, how do you even like?
Feel empty. They gotta feel empty.
This is getting me tight. I'm not gonna lie. Low key, like
880, while in his car seat in his parents' car.
You can see a photo of him in his Superman costume from Halloween. He was just weeks away from his second birthday. This past Saturday afternoon, his mother was driving him. Sadly, Jasper's father, who is in China, had never been able to meet his son because of COVID restrictions. He is now on his way back to the Bay Area for his son's funeral.
This was a horrific tragedy, and a lot of
that
pressure
makes the
would be
story
placed on
even
Oakland.
crazier.
Makes it worse. He didn't even get to meet him.
It's pissing me off, bro. Like I'm trying to be respectful as possible when it comes to this, like the street people. You know, like I respect all street people, but it's just like handle that shit somewhere else. Like
when innocent people get involved, it's one thing if y'all got beef with each other.
Yeah,
and you feel like you gotta handle it. I would say look for a way to squash it. But when innocent people and little kids, no bueno.
Police to figure out who did it.
For a reason. That's not everything. Doesn't happen for a reason, bro. Like I don't believe in that. Like really, you know what I'm saying? Like when people say everything happens for a reason, like that's not. There's no reason behind why this little kid passed away.
Yeah. No.
It was a horrific tragedy, and a lot of pressure would be placed on Oakland police to figure out who did it. Well, let's just say that the Oakland Police Department is a joke, and for a while there wouldn't be any leads.
Wow.
But then an incarcerated Eddie Rock member would get on the jail phone, and he'd tell everything that happened. This would be the brother of ST, Ronnie Mitchell, who goes by ABR Fifth. Well, Fifth would call the guy who owns the house on 82nd, and he'd try to figure out what happened on the freeway. Well, I guess both of them don't know any better. He tells them exactly what happened. Them as in telling ABR Fifth and the police who are listening into the call. And just like that, everyone involved is arrested. Johnny gets arrested for being a felon in possession of a weapon, and Kiki, well, he's not a felon, so he's not arrested. But for Choplo and his friend Ivory, they go down for the murder of Jasper Wu.
Ivory Bivens and Trevor Green are both charged in his death and have not yet entered a plea.
And on top of this, when they arrested them, they found the same weapon used in a shooting in the Sun Valley Mall just months prior.
Good Friday, I'm Janelle Wang. That shooting happened just about 2 hours ago at the mall at Sun Valley. It's located just off 680. It was put on lockdown immediately after the shooting.
Yep, allegedly that was Choplo and his homie as well. Well, I guess you can say that he's not a cap rapper. But what he is probably going to serve the rest of his life in prison. Or maybe not. Why I say that? Well,
prosecutors just reduced the charges against them, no longer facing life without parole or a death sentence.
I think that was the right call.
Green's attorney says both men have been wrongfully accused, yet still face murder charges with a gang enhancement.
For whatever reason, Oakland District Attorney Pamela Price decided to reduce their charges so they won't face life in prison. District Attorney Pamela Price says that she didn't give them the life without parole because of historical racism around the law.
But you remove the special circumstances regarding the possibility of parole. Why is that?
That charge has been deemed to be riddled with racism and applied in an extremely.
But they're still going to get, the judge is going to violate and still
Yeah.
60 years.
I think I think this probably was a mismanagement. I don't know the details, but I think
they could be innocent. You never know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah,
we weren't there.
It doesn't matter. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Fair way, and it also essentially undermines what we now know in terms of brain science, that young people generally their brains are not fully developed. They don't make great decisions until sometime around the age of 25.
I knew at 15, 16 not to kill somebody. I don't believe in that, bro. Come on.
Yeah. And most of society chooses to not kill people. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, literally 99% of them, right? Like,
no, I think it's lower than that.
Oh, shit.
Maybe 95%.
So these defendants are under the age of 25.
Needless to say, the community was pissed. Even the former district attorney was pissed as well.
If I were Jasper's parents, I would be highly offended, and I would be very fearful.
Norbert Chu is a retired Alameda County Senior Deputy District Attorney. He served for 35 years. He says, looking at that email, it is clear Price is paving the way for lesser charges and lesser sentencing in the Jasper Wu case. He called it insulting.
The tone to me is that somehow we're lesser victims than other people, and that's just stupefying.
And you're lesser victims than the perpetrators.
Exactly.
And then it becomes a race thing.
The Wu family sent us a statement saying, under Price's plan, there are almost no consequences due to no threat of severe punishments waiting. How would that restore public's faith in the justice system? How would the public feel safe?
People were so infuriated that they even protested in the streets.
Oh, wow.
Justice for Jasper! We are angry. Justice for Jasper. And too young to die.
Baby.
Signs held at a rally to show support for Jasper Wu's family and to protest
That shit gives me
Alameda
a
County
headache,
District
bro.
Attorney
That's
Pamela
sad.
Price.
Well, for those watching from other states, just welcome to California. Specifically, welcome to Oakland, where nothing makes sense. Well, either way, on the bright side, Choplo and his homies are facing decades in prison, so likely they will go away. Well, even though the Eddie member survived this ambush, let's just say that Eddie Rock was pissed. Just 3 days later, a rival from the zone named
Keep
Rose,
going.
he would lose his life while posted up outside. This case hasn't been solved, so there's not really much I can say about it, other than the zone was definitely hurt by this. But unfortunately, this wouldn't be their only loss. Sadly, over the summer, another zone member named Carlos would lose his life while posted up in the Tenderloin. Neither of these cases have been solved, but what we do know is that after this, Eddie Rock was clowning for sure. Specifically, after all these rivals were losing their life, Dex felt like he was on top of the world, like, aha, you guys are dying, I'm surviving, you can't do nothing to me. So the first thing he does is record an entire music video in his rival's hood, specifically the Chop. In the song, he even says if y'all was posted outside, you'd know you'd be dead. Oh yeah, and he said this while standing in their projects. Just pure disrespect, and believe it or not, he even takes it up a notch. He then posts a video on Instagram scootering around the Chop with a 30 stick in his hand.
What the hell?
Oh shit, and a scooter.
Man, just taunting, and more taunting. And let's just say that a rapper from the other side, specifically Phil Mofuli from The Grove, he was not putting up with it. So right after Dex does all this clowning, Phil Mofuli drops a direct diss song.
I be praying, I see Dex, where that nigga is a lick. Ain't no point to speak on Shaq, cause that nigga is a...
The whole song is disrespectful, pretty much clowning all the Eddie Rock members one by one and dissing all of their dead homies. Ooh, this is exactly what Dex was looking for, somebody to finally diss him back. Like, damn bruh, finally someone got something to say. So Dex seizes the opportunity and immediately drops a diss right back. On August 31st, 2022, he drops a song called Ambitious, and immediately he addresses Phil Mofuli. A couple stragglers, 2 more they go extinct, addressing the fact that the rivals have been losing a lot of members. But this really isn't the disrespectful part of the song. Instead, it comes in the second verse. And this verse wouldn't even come from a rapper. It would come from a guy who, this was literally his first song. This would be a young dude by the name of Paris Moffat, but commonly known as Money P. Money P isn't really from Eddie Rock, but his dad is a guy by the name of Playa P, who was one of the first Eddie Rock rappers and definitely one of the founding members. But not only is Money P not really from Eddie Rock, but he's also not really in the streets. Like, he's not known for doing anything. Instead, he's just a fly guy, a hustler that pretty much everyone likes. But definitely known for, let's just say, sleeping with the girls of his ops. Well, let's just say that for whatever reason, Money P gets very disrespectful.
Why you put Adam 22's wife on it?
That's what that was?
The second verse of the song. Most importantly, he disses Haiti, the guy who died on his bike from the other side.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
I know y'all heard about Levaxi when I was like JoJo.
On top of this, in the music video, they even reenact the scene. Needless to say, this song was as wild as it gets, and instantly it hit 100,000 views. But dropping it was not the smartest decision, because the rivals were definitely infuriated, and let's just say they would act quickly. That fast forwards us exactly a week, September 6, 2022, 11:15 p.m. It's almost midnight in Eddie Rock, and all of the members are outside posted up in the alley, shooting dice, playing music, chilling, the whole get down. Well, the way they're positioned, even though it is an alley, there's a wide open entrance on Laguna Street, so people on Laguna can see everything. And when I say people, I'm talking about the rivals, because on this particular night, they're sliding looking for revenge. You spoke on our dead homies? Okay, watch this. At 11:20 p.m., a tinted up car slowly rolls down Laguna Street. This is when quickly 2 men with masks hop out with AKs and begin blowing down the alley. Thankfully, the members pull a Game 7 Klay Thompson and they don't hit anything. But sadly, while the Eddie Rock members were blowing back, Dex got caught in the line of fire. This was the biggest loss for Eddie Rock, as Dex was their main rapper and definitely their hood representative. Like, when you think of Eddie, you think of Dex first, no doubt. And given his notoriety, SFPD is offering $50,000 for anyone with information. Well, looking back on it, dropping this diss song was the dumbest decision of Dex's life, because just 7 days later, he had to pay the price for it. So I hope this is a lesson to the younger...
Damn, I was thinking about Dex Krueger. I feel like I heard of his name before. So
yeah, I never heard of him before, but we're definitely gonna dig into the San Francisco scene.
Yeah, we gotta do his music. What the fuck?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yo, this story gets crazier.
Like, when you think of Eddie, you think of Dex first, no doubt. And given his notoriety, SFPD is offering $50,000 for anyone with information. Well, looking back on it, dropping this diss song was the dumbest decision of Dex's life, because just 7 days later, he had to pay the price for it. So I hope this is a lesson to the younger generation. This stuff is not a game, and when you diss people's deceased loved ones, sometimes they see it as a cause to, you know, but even after Dex is gone, the other side is still not satisfied. Even though he's genuinely a good dude, the rivals want Money Pete to pay the price for what he said. And that fast forwards us just 2 days, September 8th, 2022. It's a sad day for Eddie Rock, as today is the day where doctors announce that Dex has succumbed to his injuries. And after hearing the horrific news, Money P leaves SF General Hospital and heads off to Oakland. But little does he know, somebody has been following him ever since he left the hospital. At 5 p.m., he parks his car on Broadway Street in downtown Oakland and begins walking to Target. And sadly, this is when a car pulls right up next to him. Money P is hit and his friend quickly rushes him to the hospital. Thankfully, the doctors would do a great job and he would survive, but on the downside, he's now paralyzed. Truly heartbreaking for his mom, who cherishes her only child, and honestly, she raised him right. And for his father, Playa P, he had already been through so much, with his oldest son, ABR 5th, being locked up, and his other son, ST, being, fell victim to the streets. So now, Money P would be living at the Lake Merritt Healthcare Center, and this place is gross and depressing, and that's honestly putting it lightly, but he's not there for luxury, he's there so he can relearn how to walk. It's a long journey and there are no guarantees, but at least there's hope. Well, even after eliminating Dex and putting Money P in a wheelchair, the rivals are still not satisfied. For whatever reason, they still want more victims. So now it's November of 2022, and because of the recent tragedies, Eddie Rock members are not posted outside like they used to be. It's a dangerous time to be an Eddie Rock member, so most of them are tucked off in other cities, or at least trying to be. And that takes us right back to Eddie's main hideout on 81st in East Oakland. The same one where Choplo and them followed Kiki and then followed him onto the bridge where they shot, Well, Kiki doesn't seem to learn his lesson, because I guess he assumed that because the guys went down, he could go post up there again. But, obviously they still know about this hangout, and specifically a member named Darius Smith, also known as 50 from the Chop. He's on his way. November 4th, 2022. It's a Friday afternoon in East Oakland, and Kiki is at his friend's house on 81st. As he's chilling in the house, he has no idea that 50 from the Chop is outside, allegedly, and waiting to score. And at 3:30 p.m., Kiki walks outside, not paying attention to surroundings. This is when 50 allegedly hops out of his car and lets loose. Bang!
Oh shit.
Another tragic loss for Eddie Rock, as the losses are just piling up.
But they're beef from everybody, so.
Man, how does this go that the police don't stop this stuff? Is this
chaos? And this is after gentrification, like serious gentrification.
They say Oakland police is not good. That's what Swamp was insinuating.
Yeah.
It's turning out to be true.
And sadly, believe it or not, this wouldn't be the end of it. We fast forward a few months and Money P is still at the Lake Merritt Healthcare Facility. Being paralyzed and losing homies back to back to back, I can't even imagine the pain. Especially because he's known for being a genuinely good dude to everyone. This is just a horrible situation all around, but somehow it gets worse when the rivals find out where he's staying. March 11th, 2023, 12:15 in the morning. It's midnight and Money P is asleep in his bed at the health center. Little does he know, a crew of rivals know his location and they're on their way. At 12:30, they arrive at the facility and back up into the driveway. This is when two men hop out of the car, run up the hill, and begin yanking on doors. Sadly, one of the back doors is open, so they run inside the facility and look inside rooms looking for Paris. They're able to locate him, and sadly, they make a tragic decision.
A partially paralyzed patient at a skilled nursing facility in Oakland.
Like, what do you do to deserve that, right? It's almost like nobody deserves that to a certain extent, but it's like, you always tell me, like, if certain things happen to certain people, they probably did some crazy shit. They did some
dope. Remember, like you told me before, we only can go by the Swamp side of things. We wasn't really there, so we don't really know what happened. So these guys are definitely out for vengeance. They're coming in to the guy where he's rehabbing. They already shot him. Now they're trying to finish a job. This is crazy.
Instead of leaving him in misery, they rather just finish the job.
I'm watching this and I'm like, yo, if you put this in a movie, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it.
Shot and killed in his room. That attack happened in the middle of the night over the weekend.
Oakland police now are looking for two men who ran from that scene. KTVU crime reporter Henry Lee spoke to the victim's mother.
If you were miserable at your job, you got to get out of it.
Breaking the mold. How liquid death disrupted the...
He did not deserve to go that way. It was a heinous crime.
23-year-old Paris Moffat, who was partially paralyzed, was shot and killed in his room in the middle of the night at an Oakland care facility. Moffat's mother, who did not want to be identified, said her son was paralyzed from the waist down after he was shot at 27th and Broadway in Oakland in September. Now she's mourning her only child.
I can't believe anybody would do that to somebody that's not even able to even protect themselves.
Our understanding was it was a targeted shooting, a targeted murder.
It happened at Lake Merritt Healthcare Center on MacArthur Boulevard in Oakland's Adams Point neighborhood just before 1 Saturday morning. Oakland City Council member Dan Kalb represents the area.
No one would expect to go to a skilled nursing facility and expect to be in danger from a shooting. That is unheard of.
Two men snuck in through an unlocked back door and went into a room the victim shares with at least one other patient and then shot him numerous times. He died at the scene.
The lack of staff, it's the lack of security. You know, they were just negligent.
The care facility sits next door to Temple Beth Abraham. Raina Arnold is executive director but did not want to go on camera.
It's very scary. We care about the people around us. We've had a really wonderful relationship with the convalescent home next door.
Tony Chicotel is an attorney with California Advocates for Nursing Home Reform. He says there's a delicate balance between allowing visitors at all hours and ensuring safety.
I advocate for sort of an open door policy in facilities, but that said, there's always supposed to be some level of security.
This armed security guard was on the premises on Monday, but only after the shooting day.
Yeah, on his phone. He was probably
after the shooting day.
Or if he was there, he probably would have been on his phone.
Hey, look, that cop in Florida, they were shooting in the school and he didn't run in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He was some scary shit.
I think he got fired, yeah.
Family members of other patients told me off camera security before the killing was lax. In a statement, the facility said in part that it's conducting our own internal investigation into the incident. Our sympathies are with the family at this difficult time. This killing is under active investigation by Oakland police. Anyone with information is asked to give investigators a call.
Big Asian
in Oakland,
community.
Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
I didn't realize.
Where was the security? Why was the back door open? Where were the alarms? Just so many questions. And because of this, Money P's dad, Playa P, is suing the facility for negligence and wrongful death. Overall, this is just a horrific situation, and Money P truly did not deserve this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Horrible, man.
This was a huge loss for Eddie Rock, but also for other sections as well, because Money P was a popular dude. Specifically 2 sections that get along with Eddie, KO and Zoo Block. Allegedly, these 2 sections would join together on a mission for revenge. And that fast forwards us 2 months. It's the summer of 2023 and San Francisco residents are fed up with crime, specifically car break-ins. All day, every day, people roaming around the city, breaking in cars, breaking in businesses, rarely getting caught, and even if they do, they're not getting sentenced.
You can't.
How can you live there when it's complete open season for the criminals?
Yeah, you can't. You gotta go.
So eventually, residents had enough of the chaos.
Voters in San Francisco decided to recall District Attorney Chesa Boudin.
Overwhelmingly, more than half of voters say the city, said yes to Proposition H, which was the question, should he be recalled? And now that Boudin is recalled, the next step is to figure out who's going to replace him.
After recalling the DA, the city replaced him with a hard-on-crime prosecutor. So now with this stance against crime, SFPD decided to step up as well, with new tactics to take down criminals. May 25th, 2023. It's a Thursday night in San Francisco and Officer Kevin Burke is bored on duty. He already finished his box of donuts, so he's just driving around looking for anything. As he's patrolling the Ingleside neighborhood, he notices a black Dodge Hellcat parked on the side of the street. What is that doing around here? So he decides to pull up next to the Hellcat and run the license plates. This is when he discovers that the license plate belongs to an Audi A4 that was stolen in Oakland. Suspicious, right? So then he decides to run the VIN number of the Hellcat, and it was reported stolen in Fairfield. So now Officer Burke could impound the car.
You gotta swap the VIN, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you gotta swap the VIN and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know about that.
Fingerprints and hope there's a suspect. But this officer is smart, and he knows that the car will be used in further crimes. So this is when he decides to put a tracker on it. Just gonna track the car until they commit more and more crimes and we can build a way bigger case. And of course, right away they're off to a fast start. Over the next week, they robbed 2 gas stations in the Excelsior and Pancho Villa Taqueria in the Mission. Then after this, they'd commit 12 different burglaries that police know of. But even after all this, police are still not ready to arrest them because sadly in San Francisco, 3 robberies and 12 burglaries will not send you to prison. So police simply sit back and wait for them to commit more and more crimes. And although this seems like a smart plan, it would also be a costly one. June 5th, 2023. The robbery crew decide that they've hit enough licks and now they want to move on to something bigger, claiming the life of a rival, in particular anyone from the zone. Being close friends of the fallen Dex and Money P, these dudes are allegedly furious and want revenge. And on this particular night, as they're scrolling through Instagram, they see all of the zone members outside. So instantly they strap up, hop in the Hellcat, and head over to the zone. 8:10 p.m. 8 zone members are posted up outside on Rose Street, the alley where they usually hang. And this is when the Hellcat creeps up to the alley and 3 members hop out. They blow down the alley. 7 of the members are able to duck and run away, but sadly a 25-year-old named Uera Blaylock would pass away. He was once a star football player at Mission High School and a protege of Chi. Truly a tragic situation for somebody who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now after committing this tragedy, what do you think the rivals' next step is? You'd think that they'd go take the car to Oakland, light it on fire, or take it to the impound and just get rid of it by any means. But no, instead, they still want to use the car, so they take it right down to Eddy Street and park it on the street.
Oh shit, bruh.
Days later, after the investigation, police would spot the car parked on the side of the street, they run the plates and match it to the shooting. This is when Officer Burke contacts the homicide unit and says, hey, I was actually tracking that car, so I know exactly where it was the entire time. So he shows them that the car was tracked on Rose Street at the exact time of the shooting, and they're like, okay, thanks. But who was in the car? And this is when he's like, I never actually figured that out. So together, he and the homicide unit contact the gang unit looking for help. So based on the car being parked in front of KO, the gang unit goes through all the social media pages of KO members, and you won't believe this. This is where they discover an Instagram picture with the KO and Zoo Block members standing in front of the stolen Hellcat. My bad for yelling, I just can't believe they do this. So just like that, the 4 guys would be arrested and now they're facing trial, so we'll see what happens.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
So much bloodshed over the past couple years, and trust me.
I don't know if you could build a case because just because they took a picture in front of it. They have no proof. I mean, obviously they probably impounded it and then fingerprinted it.
And also, gun. If they found the gun, you know, bullets.
Yeah, but I'm like, even if they find a fingerprint, doesn't mean they did the crime, bro.
Yeah, you don't know. He could have given it to his friend in the car.
Yeah, It's a stolen car. How can you prove I was in it?
There's a lot that I didn't cover, but after this, the beef really had no choice but to calm down, because, in all honesty, there's really nobody left. Over the past 5 or 6 years, the Fillmore projects have basically wiped each other off the map.
What?
And at this point, there's really only like a handful of people left. Seriously, in each section, there's maybe like 5 to 10 guys. Over the span of just 5 years, in this very small neighborhood, over 25 people lost their lives and over 50 people went to prison. But still, the hunt for Eddie Rock is not done yet. March 3rd, 2025. It's an early Monday morning in the Fillmore, and on Eddie Rock, they're all posted up in the alley. Everyone is now back outside posted up after a couple quiet years in the beef, even by San Francisco standards, as there's only been one homicide the entire year. And because of this sense of safety, Eddie Rock is back posted in the alley, not worried about anything. Well, little do they know, even after already having a ton of revenge, the rivals still want more. And at 3:40 in the morning, they creep down the alley, see everyone posted up, and light it up.
Oh my god.
Sadly, an Eddie Rock rapper named YT Stunts would pass away. Stunts was Dex's best childhood friend, so for him to pass away on the same exact block that his best friend did is truly tragic. And unfortunately, at this point, Eddie Rock is pretty much extinct.
What?
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
What the fuck?
How they don't... None of this has been
But quickly
solved.
after this, a near tragedy...
No, I think some of these are getting solved, though. Okay. Some of these are getting solved, but I think that you're saying I think your question is like, how is this gonna? When does it stop? Right? It's like,
when does it stop? That's the real question. Yeah.
Would occur for the other side. Just 2 days later, March 5th, 2025. It's a Wednesday night in Los Angeles, and the Fillmore's biggest rapper Lil Yee is in the studio trying to make a hit. Boom! That's when a masked assailant runs into the studio. He whips out on Lil Yee while he's recording.
It was in the studio? I didn't know about that. I thought it was outside, like in a car.
Yeah,
like...
we didn't know the story behind it. We just did a reaction.
Go check it out.
To the song.
Yo!
His watch, but Yee is not giving it up as he tries to fight the man off, and sadly, the man lets loose. After being hit multiple times, Yee is rushed to the hospital by his friends. He flatlines twice during surgery, but thankfully, somehow doctors were able to revive him. Either way, this was a shocking incident, and instantly people started jumping to conclusions. Honestly, I have no idea what this was about, but trust me, Lil Yee is not the person you want to go to war with. Well, either way, we nearly lost yet another Fillmore rapper, but thankfully he was okay. Now the video is down to one last incident. Even after eliminating the majority of Eddie Rock members, the other side is still on a mission for revenge. Now you're probably wondering, who was even left from Eddie Rock to even target? Well, that brings us back to the tragic loss of Lamar Chi Williams. If you can recall, there were 3 people involved in this tragic situation. Obviously, you have Chi as the victim who passed away, and then you have Damari as the suspect who also passed away, and finally you have a man named Lotus Martin. He goes by the nickname Lo, and in the situation where they went to go rob Chi, he allegedly started blowing back. Well, technically under California law, he was supposed to be charged with double murder. So technically, if convicted, he was supposed to get like 50 years in prison, but that didn't happen. Because in 2025, he was somehow released back onto the streets. And even though the other side pretty much exterminated Eddie Rock after the loss of Chi, they still wanted this man gone. And that takes us to April 14th, 2025. It's 5:30 p.m. in the Tenderloin, and Lowe's posted up on Turk and Mason. And because it's been 5 years since the Chi incident, I guess he assumes that time heals all wounds. I say that because he's outside posted up with no mask in one of the busiest parts of the city. Well, little does he know a rival had spotted him, and he's on his way. At 6 p.m, a car slowly pulls up, a man hops out of the back and runs up on Lowe. This was the ultimate nail in the coffin for Eddie Rock. And hopefully it's the nail in the coffin for the beef as a whole, because this cannot continue. I mean seriously, the Fillmore pretty much wiped each other out, and that's on top of all the gentrification and displacement. I'm telling you, there's so few people left in each section that it's honestly tragic. Like in 5 to 10 years, the Fillmore as we know it could be completely gone, and I'm not exaggerating. And then you have to ask yourself, what was the point of all the beef? Now, obviously there is no point, but still, you're killing and dying over hoods that in 10 years most definitely will not exist. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least learned something from it, because a lot of this San Francisco history is not reported in the news. So
yeah, because they make it seem like Frisco's sweet, bro.
Nah, it ain't.
Wow.
Thanks for tuning in.
We out here.
And I know how it gets, so I gotta stay low, now move my knot. I don't trust no nigga, I don't trust no man, ain't no friends, everybody get shot. You never know how nigga gon' throw, I'm hitting the flow with a couple of shots. You better move.